sponsors, then can you take over if Philip can't get in the topics?
Yes. Then we'll just start into what our plans are, and I'll ask ADs to share kind of where they are in the process and recommendations. And then I anticipate we're going to have a lot of questions, a lot of Q&A.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And then Leslie, when you start, if we haven't connected with Philip yet, I'm going to mute myself and try to help him get connected. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Bob DeYoung. Good to see you guys. This is the Region 3 webinar. We have about 270 people that have signed up to watch today's events. Our Region 3 Director, Philip O'Neill, is in the process of connecting, along with a few of our other panelists. But we're going to go ahead and start. And what I'd like first to do is thank everybody for joining us, and then special thanks to our 3 state sponsors today for giving us some time. These are difficult times for you guys and your companies also, and we appreciate the fact that you have a relationship with THSADA and Region 3 today. It's a commitment that we have to you, and we value the commitment that you are showing to the association also. So we're going to begin with Daktronics. We have the 2 mics today, Mike Howell and Mike Vogelard. And you guys take a few minutes and tell us about Daktronics. Make sure you unmute yourself, both of you guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to share my screen real quick if that's okay. Is that all right?
Sure. Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Again, Mike Howell here. Hopefully, pretty much know just about everybody online here. I appreciate y'all giving us the time to come in and talk today. I'll kind of sit back and let the other half of the Mike and Mike show take over. And then, if y'all have any questions for us at the end, be more than happy to answer those. Again, thanks for having us today.
Yeah, and I'll be real brief. We're appreciative to be here. What we wanted to do is just really quickly, just kind of touch on 3 different quick points as far as Daktronics. Just some summer installs that are taking place right now at some of the different schools here in the area. Talking about sponsor retention, and then our 0% on 50 promotion as well. So as far as some of the different summer installs that you'll see this upcoming season, some of the schools around you, we're able to install a new video board at Anna ISD at their football stadium. Salina ISD got some new baseball equipment. Corsicana at their newly renamed stadium with naming rights, Community National Bank and Trust Stadium at Tiger Field. We're installing a new video board there at Dallas ISD, Los Stadium. Denton ISD had some high school renovations that we were able to install some equipment at. Temple ISD, this is a unique project. We're installing a new video board with some audio mesh, but we also built a custom T scoreboard for the opposite end zone. And so this is just something that's unique that the customer said, hey, we'd really like to be able to see something like this. It's never been done, but we wanted to be able to make their facility unique and build something specifically for them. So again, this is how Daktronics doesn't want to just do a cookie cutter, for all different schools, but really kind of listen to the customer and what you guys want. So if you guys ever have some unique ideas like this, please let us know, and we'd love to be able to help you. And then Wiley ISD, we were able to install some equipment inside the high school gymnasiums. With all the COVID stuff that's been going on, my division, Daktronics Sports Marketing, we're focused on sponsorships at these high school facilities. And so obviously stadium sponsorships is a large revenue source for different districts, ranging anywhere from $60,000 to over $250,000 a year. And so we have to be really sensitive and strategic to not lose that revenue stream and to not lose those partnerships. And so you've got to use that social awareness to the circumstances that are happening in your community, yet still have a clear direction of where you want to be able to go. And so this has not been the biggest priority for schools here over the last couple of months, but it should certainly be a priority for schools, especially going forward. And so our recommendation is that you work with communication departments on building some new initiatives to be able to help bring value to your sponsors that haven't had some of these spring events or summer events coming up. And so you have to adapt, obviously, so that you can make these partnerships into greater long-term partnerships. And so one of the things that we've been doing, Daktronics Sports Marketing, is we've been reaching out to different districts across the state and really across the country for the past 3 months, and trying to assist and consult the best that we can for each school's specific circumstances. And so we want to be able to try and pass on best practices from the professional level, collegiate level, and high school level as far as sponsorships go, so that you and your community are best served and set up for success long term. And so we've got a few different resources that we've been able to push out here recently. We've done a podcast on sponsorships and COVID. We've done a Facebook Live for all of our users. We have a social media platform for all of our schools and customers across the country to be able to talk through what they're going through, whether it's sponsorship side, technology side, how to be able to include the students into the production of different pieces. And so we've done a Facebook Live piece on that. And then we've had online training sessions. And so what I wanted to offer to all the different Region 3 schools is, you know, if you reach out to me, I would love to be able to have a one-on-one call with you and figure out, you know, at no cost, you don't even have to be a Daktronics customer, how we can try and help you guys set yourselves up again for a strong fall and winter so that you're not losing any sponsorship revenue. And so I'd love to be able to provide that experience that I have in kind of this tricky time that we've got. And then the other thing is that some schools and communities are a little fearful of reaching out to some of the different local businesses. And what I want to just remind you is that businesses are not only going to want this exposure here, but they're going to really need it. Now is the time. And so, you know, Chief Global Analyst Norbert Brown even said during the last recession, is it's proven that an increase in marketing spending during a recession can gain a long-term advantage for a brand. And so this is the time. I don't fully believe that we're in a full recession, but still, this is when you need to be able to make sure that you're getting exposure to people around you in the community and your main demographics. And so just want to be able to give people that confidence to reach out to businesses and to be able to let them know, hey, what's going to be happening in the fall as best as we can. And then the other part that I wanted to talk about, the last one, is just talking about our 0 on 50 promotion. And so as you're coming here into the summertime, and especially in June before the end of the fiscal years for a lot of schools, basically doing a review of your facilities, whether it's gymnasiums, stadiums, baseball, softball fields, if you've got lacrosse or soccer complexes, track, campus communication, think through what equipment could or would you want to be able to put in place to be able to set you up for success again for this upcoming year. Because what Daktronics is doing is we're running a promotion where any transaction over $50,000, we're able to help provide a 0% lease for a 5-year term on that equipment. And so what that does is that provides you a great deal of flexibility. It's going to help you with your budget planning and not having to go to those school boards for some of these different investments multiple different times and multiple different projects, but you can go one time with one main vision to be able to try and accomplish what your objectives are. And so you would lease the equipment for up to 5 years, and then at the end of that 5 years, you would purchase all the equipment for $1. And so it's very similar to a lot of the other lease-to-own programs that schools run and operate right now to buy school buses and laptops and a lot of other different technology pieces. So there's been a number of different school districts across the state, and even here in Region 3, I know about 3 or 4 of them that have done this exact promotion. So anyways, we'd love to be able to talk to you. If you have any equipment needs, this is a way to be able to help you with maybe perhaps some leftovers of the budget at the end of this fiscal year before it ends, and then maybe for the start of this upcoming fiscal year that starts in July. So, but we need to be able to talk to you here very soon because this promotion runs till July 15th. And so with that being said, again, our Daktronics team would love to help you. Mike Hal and Scott Luce are the main equipment sales folks. And we've got Ron and Don Poe, which you guys are most likely familiar with. And then myself and the Daktronics Sports Marketing Division. So, Mike, is there anything else you wanted to add?
If I can get off mute. Yeah, no. Again, we're really excited about the 0 for 50, and again, that's our starting threshold is $50,000, and there is no limit. We can take that 0 for 50 as high as you want to go for any of your products. And again, if you have any questions about what products we're offering, it's our full line of products. So again, you know, audio, video, scoreboards, anything indoor or outdoor, we'll be more than happy to help put a package together for you. Again, look forward to hearing from y'all. And Coach Bucket, yes, I am on board. And I will get Mike to email that out to everybody, not myself. Thanks a lot, Coach Bucket.
All right, thank Mike. We appreciate Daktronics, and thank you guys for being here today. Next up is DTN. So Steve, do I have you on the line? I think I saw Steve.
Yes, sir.
There you go. We can't see your picture, Steve. Are you there?
Yeah, they should have a picture. My webcam is busted. I dropped my laptop about 2 weeks ago. I actually shattered my laptop. So I'm running 2 monitors with it, but no webcam. But yeah, I should have a profile picture on there. So I apologize. But just like Daktronic said, many of the names on here I'm very familiar with. I know many of you guys use DTN, and I greatly appreciate you all letting me be part of this as well. With that being said, I do need to share my screen, but I'm not showing the ability to share anything as of now.
Everybody has been enabled to be able to share, so I'm not sure.
Okay, I use Zoom pretty often, and the share screen part is grayed out.
Well, I'm looking at our options, and it says who can share, and I've selected all panelists, so I'm not sure. I probably can't help you
that's
from
very odd. Let's see if I can do something different here, because yeah, the share screen part that I normally use, as I use Zoom, just used it about an hour ago, is grayed out. So let's see if I can do something to change that.
Okay.
And give me about 20 seconds. Yeah, there it is right there. Yep, it is grayed out. It is not allowing me to share. Let me try something else here. Yeah, I could do anything else. I could chat. I could see everything else, but the share screen part, or the share screen option, is grayed. It's not allowing me to share anything, unfortunately. But you're saying I am. Well, hopefully we can fix this real quick. That way we don't hold no one off. Or if you like, maybe go to the next vendor, and I'll see if I can mess with some of these settings. But like I said, I use Zoom constantly, and I don't know why this screen is gray. I could maybe try getting out of the meeting, come back in, and see if that helps. If you want to jump to, I think you said RFS is another one as well. Is that correct?
Steve, you can go ahead and try that, and I'll bring John Gayhart in from RFS, and if you can reconnect, that would be great.
Yep, I'll try that. Sorry, guys. I'll jump back on. Thank you.
All right, so next up, I see that Philip has joined us, so welcome. Good morning, Philip. We're finishing our state sponsor, so John Gayhart from RFS, go ahead and take a few minutes and tell us about RFS.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's an important partnership for us with you guys, so we love being a part of it and just appreciate the time and the opportunity. I'm going to be quick. A lot of you know us as sports flooring and lockers. Anything you do in the world of sports flooring, we do, with the exception of outdoor turf. There's companies that do a much better job than us, so we leave it to them. Everything else, sports flooring, we do, and then we also do lockers for your team rooms. What I really want to focus on today is weight room flooring, because that's just that's what is the busiest right now for multiple reasons. So just a quick run through, when you're considering a weight room floor, one thing that we pride ourselves on is that we're not biased towards a specific product. We represent several different products that go from the most affordable product on the market to the most expensive product on the market, and everything in between. And so it's really all about your project. What is your budget? What is your maintenance program? What kind of lifts are you doing? What are your expectations? And then we can, kind of put together a plan from there. So a lot of you are familiar with a product like this. This is kind of that most affordable option that we do in middle schools and high schools all around the state, all day, every day. Especially this time of year, we're doing a handful of these every single week. And so that's something you're all familiar with. That gets a little bit fancy and gets thicker and more color. And this is a recycled product made out of the base of recycled tires, and then just kind of made more colorful and softer from there. When you start to continue to upgrade, you go to a product from Mondo, which a lot of you guys are familiar with. And a lot of people on this call have this in several of their weight rooms. This is kind of the minimum thickness of Mondo that you're going to do in a weight room, which is 10 millimeters thick. The great thing about this, and the reason why it's so popular in high schools, is it's non-porous. So none of the sweat soaks into it and builds bacteria over time. And then the upgraded version of that is when you get thicker and build a pad on this. And this is the most popular system we have going into weight rooms in high schools across Texas right now. So when you go on that low end scale or the most affordable scale, it's a recycled tire porous product all the way up to a very thick vulcanized rubber that's non-porous. Two things that I just want to point out about how the weight room market is being impacted right now today in our current situation is, first, the non-porous option is extremely important and extremely attractive right now. We went through this, something similar to this. We went through this 10 to 12 years ago when MRSA and staph started becoming a big issue in high school weight rooms, and people were ripping out all of their recycled products and putting in a non-porous, or ripping out all their porous products and putting in a non-porous product. And that's what we're going through right now. A lot of schools and even a couple professional teams are saying, when my players get back, I need to have non-porous products in their weight room and in their locker room. So that's a thing right now that we see going on that wouldn't typically be going on. The other thing that's happening right now is, in the current state, people have started utilizing what we're going through as a little bit of an extended shutdown to revitalize and renovate a few of these weight rooms. I know your kids are you're probably getting back together with your kids, a lot of you starting next week, and we'll gradually get into the weight room. So there's probably still a little bit more time to refresh weight rooms before everybody gets back in action. And so I just wanted to let you know, we're on it on a daily basis right now, traveling around to schools that are calling us, and we can turn around a lot of weight rooms in the matter of 2 to 3 weeks when it comes to a refresh on the flooring. So if you're interested in that, if that is a need that you have, I know weight room floor is probably the least of your concerns. You got a lot more important things going on right now, and I don't want to make it sound more important than it is. But in the event that a weight room floor is something that's on your project list, there's still time to probably get it done before your kids get back. And so I'm just going to tell you my email address in case you want to reach out to me. It's John, John, at teamrfs.com. John at teamrfs.com. If you need anything for future budgets, for anything, just let me know. I'll be happy to swing by. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Very good. Thank you, John. Appreciate you being here today. Philip has joined the meeting, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to him. And it looks like our Steve from DTN is able to screen share now. So Philip, go ahead and take over. And Steve, take a couple of minutes and tell us about DTN.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Nope, y'all can hear me now, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, guys, and I apologize for the little inconvenience there. But again, as I started, DTN Weather, and as I said earlier, many of you we work currently with, so I wanted to kind of show you some of the new features coming here soon to some of the current users. But for some of you all that do not use DTN, just let me give you just a quick little overview on who DTN is, what we do. DTN is the world's largest commercial weather provider. We've been doing this since about the 1940s. And as you can see my screen here, I just have a few images of some of our customers, but currently we do the weather for the NFL, the PGA Tour, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, NCAA headquarters, and we work with close to about 1,100 universities and around, last count, around 7,000 high schools across the country, many in the states of Texas, as you all know. And just a little bit about DTN, kind of what we do differently compared to a lot of the vendors out there. I know weather is the big thing right now, and there's a lot of companies popping up left and right. Again, we are the world's largest weather company. We have over 170 degreed weather forecasters on staff touching the DTN service, meaning that we are not rebroadcasting the data. You're getting the most accurate information you possibly can find, meaning that when you pull up our system and get a forecast, get the radar, get lightning information, it is being touched by a human. No rebroadcast, no National Weather Service. This is DTN information that we are providing to you with about a $24 million network providing you the lightning technology. So I also want to bring up the service just real fast, kind of show you how it works for the customers that do not have DTN. I'm sure many of you have met me at AD meetings or had a trial of it, and I want to offer a trial of our service for any non-customer when this is all over. But it is web-based, it is also app-based, and it's also text-based, meaning that we can touch unlimited amount of staff members either visually or through a text. All our information is real-time radar, hour-by-hour forecast. So we release a forecast internally every 15 minutes to you. We provide you real-time information directly to your National Weather Service bulletins, warnings, watches, and advisories. We can tell you exactly at your field, your location, when precipitation is going to start, when's it going to stop, how heavy is that precipitation. So I'm at a baseball game, is this going to be a 20-minute rain delay, or is this something that's going to stick around for 2 or 3 hours and I need to reschedule this event? Probably the biggest reason down there you guys use the DTN service or have looked into DTN service is our lightning information. Again, this is a $24 million network that you have access to that gives you real-time data. We do not predict lightning. We actually put about a 200-mile radius around your fields. Once again, GPS based, so I can tell you exactly how far out those strikes are from your location. And pretty much the standard out there is 8-mile warning, 15-minute caution, 30-minute advisory, but as I said, we can warn you up to 200 miles away. So as that weather comes in, we're going to give you that first tap on the shoulder, 15 to 30, that next tap, 8 to 15, and that next tap under that 8-mile warning range. And we're able to text all your staff members exactly what's happening and then give you a live minute-by-minute countdown timer, which again, as you all know, 30-minute all clear, we can all clear. We even have the ability to install a outdoor siren solution. This is the new feature to DTN for the current customers. It was in testing at Texas A&M for about 2 years, went very, very well. So any of the information that we provide you regarding lightning, warning, caution, or advisory, we visually or audibly can send out an alert via siren. You also have the ability to talk with my staff. So if there's ever a question that you may have, you can actually raise your hand. As many of you know that use our service now, this is a big, big use. You will not find this with none of our competitors. So you can go in there Friday at 4 o'clock for that 6:30 kickoff and talk to one of my forecasters. Here's what's happening. Here's when it's going to start. Here's when it's going to stop. So you can basically work with that schedule. Is this a delay? Is this a complete rain out? Is there some very, very severe weather coming in where you need to make some major, major change or adjustments to your schedule? Last thing I'll show you, the big topic down there right now in the big AD meetings, athletic trainer meetings, is heat index or wet bulb globe in forecasting. We are the only company out there that actually does a forecast hour by hour, and we can alert you regarding wet bulb globe readings. So it's heat index on steroids. So we can give you an hour by hour breakdown of the wet bulb globe readings, the heat index. That way, when you work with your staff, your athletics, you know exactly what window or what threshold you have where you may have those conditions that you are concerned about. That way you can work with your staff, your coaches, and reschedule those practices. Maybe bring those in a couple hours early, maybe take them a couple hours late. That way practice is not being interrupted by the heat conditions. This is becoming just as important as the lighting information that we have. And then with the wet bulb globe or the heat index, your athletic trainers or yourself can send out multiple thresholds regarding those readings. And you, as an athletic director, can actually go in there and put a customized message at any of the end of our alerts. So the big thing right now is once it gets above 92, we are not meant to be outdoors, but you can do this with heat index as well. So at 101, you make a change. At 102, you make a change. At 105, you make a change. So all that information can be sent directly to unlimited amount of staff, coaches, athletic trainers, etc., regarding that information. And as I just kind of finish up here real quick, this is our app. So when you're on the go, you have access to our system when you walk away from that computer. Everything is visually available to you via a smartphone app as well. But again, the app follows you no matter where you go. So does the text alerting. So if you are a busy guy, weather rolls in, you're not watching it currently, the system will automatically send you notifications through the app, through text, and let you know exactly what your concerns are. As I stated earlier, I'd be happy to provide anyone on this call that currently is not a DTN customer with a free trial of the service for you to use the service live. And then for any of the DTN customers, I would love to talk to you about our new outdoor siren solution that our system can send tornado warning, thunderstorm warning, and any lightning alerts to it as well. So we can make sure everybody knows exactly what's going on. But
thank you
that's
so
about all
much.
I have, guys. I apologize. I'm not, yeah, sorry. Yep.
We really appreciate your guys, Daktronics, DTN, and RFS. We appreciate your support, all of you guys. And, you know, we know that supporting us through this time is important to us. And so we're grateful for what you guys do for us in supporting us. So I want to jump into what the meat of this Zoom meeting is about, and that's summer strength and conditioning. And so I want to just introduce the panelists real quick, and I want to kind of give you a perspective on where they're coming from and how they may be able to help you as panelists. So here we go, there we go. So, and prior to doing that, Bob, if you don't mind kind of monitoring the chat and kind of letting us know potential questions that people may have, that would help as we go. Do you mind doing that?
Sure thing. I'll be happy to.
Okay, so we have Shawn Pratt, Athletic Director in McKinney, Leslie Slovak, Athletic Director in Richardson, Todd York, Athletic Director in Midlothian, and some reason I can't get my screen here to go away. Hold on, here we go. We have Kevin Ozee, the Athletic Director in Burleson. All of those guys are athletic directors at multi-high school districts. And so that's the perspective that they'll be able to share. We also have Kevin Pitts, who's an Assistant Athletic Director in Richardson ISD, and Becky Spurlock, the Athletic Director in Azle ISD. And the two of them share a different perspective because the two of them both have an athletic trainer background. So they'll be able to help from that perspective. Kevin is obviously at a multi-high school district with Leslie, and then Becky is at a one-horse town. So she also shares that perspective. Was Kirk Thor able to be on? I don't see his picture on here. Is he with us? Kirk, are you here? Okay. Again, summer strength and conditioning, and here's what I want to do. I've shared with you a little bit of the panelists and their perspective, and I'm just going to start with really what I want to do is I want to start with Shawn and Kevin and Todd York, and we'll just start with Shawn, maybe talking about what's in your plan. And some of the important components of your plan, and then Todd and Kevin, if you guys will jump in afterwards, and if he skips over something that you've included in your plan, then you guys can go ahead and add to that. If you guys have questions, the people that are on the Zoom, please make sure you go through the chat or the Q&A at the bottom, and Bob DeYoung's going to monitor that for us and hit us with maybe some questions that multiple people have. So, Shawn, I'm going to turn it over to you. Talk to us about your plan, what you've included. At the end, what I'd really like to do is talk about just the importance, and I'm going to ask Shawn in particular to talk about the importance of us following this plan and how this is kind of a precursor to the fall for us. So, Shawn, if you want to go ahead and jump in.
Thank you, Philip. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us. Hey, so and you know, I'm not going to sit here and get in great detail. We've all kind of shared our plans with each other. So I know I have a bunch of y'all's plans, and people from other districts, and I know a bunch of people have my plan. So I don't want to, you know, read a bunch of detail that nobody needs to hear right now. But I'll say that, first of all, I got with a number of people that are on this panel before we did it, and got with some people that are not on this panel. I visited with Yancey McKnight at the University of Texas. He was a great help last weekend when I was putting this together. Dealt with or worked with our athletic trainers, our campus coordinators, obviously, Jennifer Frazier here in my office, and Laura Cahey, and tried to come up with a plan that we could use in a couple different manners. One, for our guidelines, but two, something we could put out there, and we are putting it out there for our parents to have access to see that we are taking this serious. We do have a great plan in place, and that we plan on you know, having summer conditioning skills in as safe as manner as possible for our student athletes. And as Philip said, you know, I told my staff right off the bat, we're the guinea pigs for public education, and how we do across the state of Texas in returning our athletes to our campuses for workouts is going to have a heavy influence on how we start school, if we start it on time, if we start it in a normal manner, and if we have fall sports. So as you said, Philip, this is, to me, this is a critical time. I'm sure, like many of you guys, I know I've heard some of our athletic directors across the state talk about, you know, asking us, what are you doing about stipends? I've heard districts that didn't finish giving their stipends this past year when the spring sports were canceled, that they cut the rest of the stipends for the year. I'm blessed to be in a district where we didn't do that, but I also have had real conversations with my superintendent about if this doesn't go well and we don't have sports, how we're going to handle our staff. And so it's critical for all of us. And I think that's why, and man, it was great. Everybody's been sharing their ideas. A number of things in my plan are things that I got from you guys. And so just appreciate everybody's cooperativeness to help each other so we all get this right. But you know, mine, I just covered things our parents want to see in terms of in terms of sanitation, in terms of social distancing, the check-in process, you know, using a Google form and having kids bookmark it, where they answer the screening questions every single morning, so that we at least have that on the Google form before they get there, so that when they get there, we can be as efficient as possible and just take a temperature. And we'll already know if they've answered the questions clean or not, and we can get them in. So tried to cover that. Tried to cover obviously the social distancing throughout the plan, and then what we were going to do to prepare our athletes. We're actually going to have Zoom meetings. The head coaches are going to have Zoom meetings with their kids this week, teaching them the process. Really, the biggest part, they're going to teach them the checking in process, so that when they walk in here next Monday, they already checked in on their phone, and they get there in social distance. They know the right place to park or the right place to be dropped off. And then we'll get them in there. In the first 3 days, all we're doing is teaching. We're having 3 days of walking through, teaching them the process of how we're going to transition, how we're going to social distance, how we're going to sanitize in between lifts, and all of those things. So that's really it. Just I'm not going to get into great detail because I think everybody's kind of seen each other's, but the biggest thing is just using something to guideline for our staff, and then something to communicate with our parents so they can see the plan, know what we're doing, and feel good about what we're doing with their kids.
Kevin, do you have something you might want to add?
Yeah, Shawn, appreciate your words and everything. I think it's a crucial time. One of the things that we're doing, number one, we've committed to paying a medical health professional to be on staff every day that we have practice, whether that be one of our licensed trainers or one of our school nurses, or the third option will be a contract trainer. So we've made that commitment. We've publicized that to our parents. And we may be a little different because our camps in the summer, our summer strength and conditioning are technically considered the coach-owned camps. So all the revenue that comes in goes, the coach can decide, you know, who to pay and so on and so forth. But the district is picking up the tab for the athletic trainers and any materials that are needed, like the wipes and the custodial and things that like that. We also, maybe it's a little different, that we're encouraging our coaches to do to build onto that daily pre-screen form. This is something I stole off of Twitter. It's trying to determine kids and their families' well-being, and it's using Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we just ask very simple questions. You know, are you eating at home? Are you being able to sleep? Things like that. Because I know our families, just like everyone, are under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress right now. So we're going to deal with that. Try to make that part of a seamless pre-screening and see how we can take care of our kids and our families.
Very good. Todd, anything you'd like to add?
Really, about the only thing I'd like to add is I did watch on Sports U the video that Alvarado put out. Well, he did a great job. If you haven't seen that, Jeff Dixon did a wonderful job. It's out there, and I recommend that everybody watch that. It's very well done, and might be something worth copying.
Perfect. So I'm going to jump in and add a couple of things. One, we're paying our licensed trainers to be there daily as well. We're also assigning somebody to be, you know, I'm going to call it a get back coach. It has a whole new meaning. You know, you got to get back 6 feet or 10 feet, but we're assigning somebody to be a compliance coach on a daily basis. So they're going to monitor what's going on, and that's going to be their sole job. They're going to walk around, make sure that people are social distancing, make sure that we're following the guidelines. So that's one of the things that we're doing. I know that some other people on the panel are doing that too, but I wanted to add that as a part of it. Kirk, Kirk Thor's joining us. Kirk has a totally different perspective than the rest of us. Kirk is a campus coordinator, and he's the head football coach at Lake Ridge High School. And I will put up his work against anybody's in the nation. The guy's incredible at his job. He's done a lot of things to add some components to what we're doing in Mansfield. One of the things that he learned from some of the coaches on his staff who have spouses who are in the health industry is that they were grateful for the amount of signage that were at hospitals that were reminders to them to wash your hands, to social distance, and to do those things. So one of the things that we're doing is we're purchasing a lot of signage to put around just as reminders. But I'm going to ask Kirk to, from his perspective, from somebody that's going to be there on a daily basis, that's going to be leading his campus through these processes. I'd like for him to share with us a little bit about what's going on with him and how he's going about his work.
Thanks, Coach. When Coach O'Neill got the plan together, he gave us some subcommittee divisions, and every coordinator took a different topic and went to research it. So we asked a lot of coaches questions, because they're going to be the boots on the ground, and really the focus for us has to be on execution and making it simple for coaches. And so our coaches know, and they've said a lot, that this is a big, big deal, because how we do this is how we're going to be, seen in the fall and whether we can get to the fall. So, but from the training, one of our coaches, had a sister who works at JPS, and they said signage was huge for them. They also said that, as much as many rules as possible to put up would help people reminded. We're doing T-shirts for coaches to wear with rules on the back of the T-shirt, so it's a reminder every day. The signage is going to go everywhere. But a lot of the things we're doing from a campus level is a walkthrough. We're going to walk through with our coaches. I spent a lot of time from our campus. Once Coach O'Neill built the framework of the house, we kind of had to build the rest of the house according to where people are dropping off. But we're going to really set it up in pods, and we're going to put kids in groups of 10 and keep them in groups of 10, even inside and outside. But we're going to have a coach responsible for that pod. And if we're shorter coaches, then we'll have a coach responsible for 2 different pods of 10. But we're going to let one coach be in charge of those kids all day long. We're going to minimize rotation. We're going to have one day in the weight room and they come in, they go to the weight room and they go home. And the next day they'll go to a different station to minimize cleaning and having to rotate and kids passing in different directions. So there's just a lot of different things we do. But the biggest thing is the walkthrough. We're going to meet with our strength and conditioning coach, our athletic trainers. We've met extensively since Coach O'Neill gave us the framework of what to do. And we're actually going to campus to walk through what it will look like. We're getting our coaches to say we're going to walk through it and see where all the pitfalls might be and what might happen. Putting the tape down, putting the X's for kids to stand. And we're having an all coaches meeting Thursday night that where all our coaches on the staff are going to be there, and we're going to walk through the entire process. Then we'll have meetings on Monday mornings, a big meeting for those who are working that week. We'll walk through the process again. And then every day we'll have a 15 to 20 minute meeting before that workout just to reemphasize everything that we're doing, just to make sure we're on top of things, that every coach feels confident in what they're doing.
Perfect. So to Kirk's point, one of the things that we're doing also in the athletic office, we're actually doing it today and tomorrow, is we're going to meet with each campus and we're going to go through their plan. We're going to walk through their plan. We're going to, see how it is they're implementing the guidelines that we've given them to address the nuances of their campus. And so we're going to walk through those. We're going to give them feedback. We're going to talk about, where they're going to be placing their sanitizer, the whole thing. So we're doing that the next couple of days. Kirk, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us, your perspective from the campus level. So Kevin and Becky, you guys have a unique perspective with your athletic training background. If you guys could go ahead and share with us, through your lens, and I'm going to start with you, Becky, and Kevin, you can chime in and add anything to what she shares that maybe she inadvertently leaves out, or any additions that you may have, but just give us a little bit of perspective from that athletic trainer lens.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Philip and Bob, for getting this together. I think the biggest thing for us, and Kirk actually said it, our administration, even though they gave us a 15-to-1 ratio, we felt like we were still going to be moving kids from one coach to another coach if you went inside. So we made the decision as a school that our ratio will be 1 to 10, even if we have to get more coaches involved at that point. So whether we're inside or outside, our ratio will always be 1 to 10. I think that's a better way for us not to have to move kids around within groups. Second thing we did, because the weight room, our weight room is not very big, we're going to move all of our equipment to the indoor facility. We're going to set up the weight room in the indoor where we can open up the doors and have air moving around. Because of the fact that we have a less chance of molecules to sit somewhere if we have that air moving. So that is the other thing that we're doing, because we feel like that gives us a safer environment to lift weights. The other thing we did is the first week, we're not letting anybody go inside. Everything will be outside, even sports specific. We're going to take that entire week and we're going to go completely outside. The other thing is we know that we can't provide water bottles and food and things like that. But where my concern came in is if you have kids out there working out for almost 3 hours and only have 1 water bottle, we have to have a way to maybe refill that. So I have visited with UIL. If you have a manned water station where the kid comes up, social distancing rules apply. That adult can take the water bottle, fill it, give it back to the student, so that we can have that type of interaction with the kids. Now, kids can't come up and drink, but they can bring a water bottle, and an adult that is masked and has gloves on can fill a water bottle. So I think that's a big thing also for the safety of our kids. So those are some of the things that we did. The thing that I think I'll stress is maybe for everybody, we've all shared plans, but just remember to make sure your administration is on board with it, and they may make some specific things that are true to your school that may be different. And I think that's important to let our coaches know, because I think y'all know you'll have a coach that says, well, so-and-so's doing it this way, why can't we do it that way? Remember that your plans are specific to your school, and some things may be a little bit different, and that's okay. So let's keep them safe. And Kevin, what I leave out?
As usual, you hit everything. I just would, the biggest thing I think if you are transitioning from inside to outside is monitoring those groups as they go, and not just sending a group as we've done in the past. It's time to go inside, have a planned rotation throughout the day. I know everybody's talked about it, and I think most everybody's doing it. It's just, from the minute they hit the parking lot to the minute they leave the parking lot, they're in our care, and how we're getting them to place to place. I think that's great about the water bottles, and feeling we're doing the same thing in Richardson, having a coach assist if anything needs to be filled up, and just monitoring them every way we can. I know the big question is how many coaches we need. We need all hands on deck at this time, and it is a dress rehearsal for the fall, and we need to do the best I can to keep everybody safe, and not only the kids but the coaches too.
Very good. Thank you, guys. So one of the things that I hope that everybody's picking up from this is that there's no cookie cutter way for this to be implemented. You need to implement this and institute this the way it best fits you guys. I'm going to give you an example. Several people on here have talked about sports specific camps. I know Becky talked about, doing everything, indoors. Other guys are doing everything outdoors. In Mansfield, we are not doing any sports specific skills or drills for 2 weeks. We want to, the way we're going about this is we're going to get good at the strength and conditioning component, and we're going to use that as the precursor to us getting into gyms or doing any sports specific things. So we're going to stick with this first, and we're going to get efficient at this before we jump into something else. That's the way we're doing it. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying anybody is wrong for doing it different than that. I'm just saying that's what fits us best. There's no cookie cutter way to do it. So I want to jump to Leslie real quick. I know that Leslie has spent a lot of time dealing with the legal component of this with her district. She has spent a lot of time with her legal department. So I want Leslie to talk about a little bit of her experiences with that. She's had to push some things a little bit because the administration in Richardson's been a little uncomfortable with this. And so she's had to work extremely close with her legal department to do things there the way they're comfortable with doing it. So Leslie, you want to hit on that a little bit and what some of the legal components and compliance that they're making you go through to be able to do this?
Sure. Thank you, Philip, and thank you, Bob, for setting this up. One thing I want to remind everybody is that we're in this together, and we're better together. So appreciate everyone who's reached out, and I've reached out to you, and we've shared information. And before I get into the legal piece, I want to offer that if anybody wants a copy of our plan in Richardson, just email me. We have an FAQ we've put together. It's not very long, but we hit the highlights of what questions we think parents will have. And so we're happy to share any part of our plan. I have an incredible superintendent who is very pro-athletic. She's given us the green light, but also what comes with that is just, I think every superintendent and every athletic director is some concern. This is a huge step. And so we have an internal legal counsel attorney on board, and she is great at her job, and her number one job is to protect us. And so she is looking over every specific plan. So not only our general plan that goes out to parents, but at all 4 high school campuses, she is looking over every single plan to make sure that we haven't missed anything. So I appreciate her input. Yes, it takes a little longer. It's not something that we can just roll out and say, this is what we're going to do. But I feel protected. I feel that having her support is huge. And, one thing, I'll give you an example where we're not all the same. In some districts, your legal counsel or your superintendent or someone is making you have a release of liability that mentions COVID. In Richardson, our attorney does not want us to have a release of liability that talks about COVID. We're using a typical release of liability that we've used for years for summer strength and conditioning. So that's just one question that I had, because when I found out there were other districts that actually had the words COVID and there was some of that language in there, I thought, I wonder what we're going to need to do. So I went to her for advice, and that just shows you how we're not going to all be exactly the same. But the best advice I could give you is make sure that your administration supports your plan. Because if they don't, if something goes wrong, we have an outbreak or we have a parent concern, you want to know that your superintendent, your assistant sup, your legal counsel, whoever you report to, you want to make sure that they really know what your plan is. Our superintendent is really big on videos. That's how she loves to communicate with the public. So this afternoon, she wants to do a video. Her and I are going to be in one of our indoor facilities, and we're going to do a video, and hopefully to reassure parents that we're taking this very seriously, and that there's a lot of guidelines and a lot of procedures that we have to follow. So I hope that helps. And again, if anyone wants to see our plan, please email me. We're happy to share.
Perfect. Thank you, Leslie. I'm going to get to questions from Bob here in just a second, but I want to turn to Kirk again real quick. Kirk, can you share with us a little bit about what you shared with the Mansfield coordinators the other day, just about the importance of making sure that we do our very best to keep this as simple as possible?
Yes, sir. In the meetings, there's so many guidelines that we want to make sure everything's so perfect that I think I made the joke that my brain was scrambled because it was just too small and to grasp it all. But really, I think at the end of the day, we spent so much time meeting, even on the campus level, trying to make sure everything was perfect, that it just needs to be simple. And I think the more guidelines they have, the more it needs to be simple. And really, we kind of talked to our staff about it. It's the same as a game plan. We've got rules in a sport, we've got rules that govern us, and then we've got to make it really simple so our kids can execute. So our big focus is trying to make sure we can make it as simple as possible for our coaches and still make sure we cover all the guidelines so they can execute it. Because if the plans are too confusing for our coaches and we try to do too much overkill as far as detail, they may slip up and make mistakes. So we're really focusing on just making sure we're simple in everything we do and making sure our coaches understand everything and that it's repetitive for them. So they understand day by day to do the right things for our kids.
Perfect. I think that's great advice for people. I think you need to take your plan and you need to do your very best to simplify it as much as possible to ensure that you're following everything, but simplify it to the point to where you can follow it, to where it's not so arduous that we're stepping over ourselves too much. So Bob, you want to jump in and share a couple maybe of the questions that are common questions that need to be answered, and we'll get some people to jump in and help.
Sure, I'll be happy to. This has been a great meeting so far, and I hope these questions will help clarify some things that our attendees have. Number one, really it's a request to you, Philip. Each of the panelists probably has a plan in place for how they're going to do this, and I'm getting lots of input about can you guys share their plans? Is the best way to do this for the panelists to send you the plans and you can share with your Region 3 membership? Is that
Absolutely.
Okay?
That sounds great. Anybody have issue with that? You guys email it to me and I'll shoot it out to everybody.
All right. Second thing regards funds. Number one, are we charging for camps, strength conditioning camps, and attached to that, are your districts going to compensate your coaches for the additional work that they're doing? So people are looking for, where is this money coming from? Is it the school district funds or is it money collected from charging for strength conditioning?
So who wants to jump in? Shawn, you want to start?
I mean, we're not doing any different. We did get a stipend. It's not enough, but it's a stipend for working summer skills last year. And is this going to add more time? It is, but we're not. I don't know that any district. If you are, you're blessed, and if you're in a situation where you can go in right now and get more money. We did get it last year. Our coaches know there's going to be some additional things that they're going to have to do this summer, some additional time because of our situation, and they're doing it. But my office will be right there by their side, helping them and supporting them through it. But we're not going to be able to get them any more money than they already had. Philip, you may want to share I know there's a lot of people asking you might want to share your email if everybody's going to reach out to you You already have my plan, right?
Yes, sir.
Philip, I'm blessed to be in a single horse town, and sometimes that makes it a little bit easier. Sometimes it doesn't, but we are going to and have created a stipend for the coaches and athletic trainers that are going to work the strength and conditioning camp. We are charging our kids $75, which will not cover all of the costs, and the ISD is going to add the rest of the money that we need, and so we have developed a stipend for that. Now, we are not paying for skills work because we have some coaches that are choosing not to do it but once a week or twice a week, some that are doing it 4 days a week. So we chose not to pay a stipend for the skills, but we are paying a stipend for the strength and conditioning.
And Philip, I can chime in for Richardson ISD. We charge our kids, it's $20 a week, but we have so many kids on free and reduced lunch that if they can't pay, we're going to take them. You know, if they can't pay, they still can come. And then whatever money we bring in, we turn and pay the coaches. And so it's not a great system because you don't, especially right now, because we don't know how many kids are we going to have, how many families are going to be comfortable sending their kids. But I'm not at a point where I was able to get additional money for our coaches. I am blessed that for the first time, we're going to be able to pay athletic trainers. I can pay one athletic trainer a stipend to attend each high school campus. So that's 4 different people, or they can split it. They may have somebody that does one day and another trainer does another day. But for us, we really are at the mercy of what money we bring in from our kids to turn around and pay our coaches.
I know in Mansfield, we have a, we used to pay days. 2 years ago, we changed to where we rolled all the days into the stipend, and a part of those days, we paid each coach 5 additional days to work summer strength and conditioning. And so that's already rolled into their stipend, and we're not doing anything different than that.
Okay, let me ask the next question. The Google form some of you are using, I'm guessing it must contain some student-specific information on it, maybe some health history or a waiver type of form. The question was, did it have to get approved by your school health officials? And are there any privacy issues associated with that? So that's about, I'm talking around the question, but can anybody weigh in on that?
I got mine approved. I mean, it's a yes, no question. We're not asking them to put exactly what symptom they might have or what their temperature is. There's really no specifics. They're saying yes or no. And if they say yes on any of those, they're staying home. If they say no, then they're welcome to come. So, and then all we're doing there when they get there is taking their temperature. We'll record that. Nobody sees it. So there is no specific health information about, you know, little Johnny has this temperature or has this symptom or anything else with the way we're doing it.
Very good. Couple more real quick ones. The sanitizing the restrooms, because kids can use those for restroom purposes. So how often are you sanitizing those, and who's in charge of that?
We have obviously a one in, one out at the restrooms that we are. We have also met with our lead custodian for the high school, and we have distinguished the 2 specific restroom facilities for both girls and boys. Not all of them will be open. And so between each of the groups, they will go in and sanitize, but we will also have hand sanitizers, wipes, and those type of things, and for the kids to use when they come out.
All right, and then last real quick one. You've all got your protocols for what you're doing when the kids are in your charge, when they're at camp. But what kind of message are you giving your kids when they leave camp about how to conduct themselves when they're away from your supervision?
Kevin, you got something to add to that?
Well, I think it's just the same. I think you or Coach Thor had mentioned it, just kind of teaching, especially the first week, you know, teaching about washing hands and proper, you know, cleaning of items and things like that. It's just a constant reminding them, and reminding them of the importance of what we do right now determines what happens in August. And I think everybody's goal, everybody, including kids and parents, is to get back to some sense of normal in August so that we can play.
For sure.
Very good. That's all I have
Bob,
for right
anything
now.
else? That's it?
Not yet, nope.
Perfect. So go ahead, Shawn.
Just real quick, and I know Stacy Seagal had asked this, and I thought it was a great question, something that we talked about at length. And it's not in our plan, but it's what the kids are doing when they leave. Because immediately when I had this document worked out, just like you did, and sat my coordinators down and showed them the shell, you know, we got to talking where they're like, you know, we can control them for 3 hours, hour and 45 minutes of conditioning, an hour of skills. But after that, you know, they're out of our hands. And anyway, just really, and Stacy asked it, and it's a great question, but just how important it is that we talk to our kids about, you know, being smart when they leave us and what they're doing the rest of the day, because we may do everything right, and that 16-year-old kid goes out and, you know, does whatever and gets sick, and you know, everybody's going to feel like we're responsible, even if they track it or whatever. They're going to feel like, you know, because we did had that kid under our watch. But anyway, just the importance of really stressing we are at the end of every day going to hammer, being smart, being healthy, making the right choices when they leave here to keep themselves social distance and healthy.
So I just saw a question that popped up about how are you figuring the 25% percentage for your weight rooms or for your facilities? And then I'm gonna ask an additional part of that question because I'm still trying to figure this out in my head. So we're only allowed groups of 10 in the weight room. And so in my weight room, we're fortunate that we're big enough that the 25% that we've calculated is we can have 30 student athletes in there. So that's 3 groups of 10. So if you can only have 10 in there, how come 30 is okay? And so how do you distinguish between, I know that they're grouped in 10s, but a group of 10 may be literally right next to another group of 10 who is going to be right next to another group of 10. So help me work that out in my mind. Shawn, can you help me with that?
Well, you got to have 10 feet between each group, right? So if you got a group of 10, the next group has to be at least 10 feet away.
Okay.
So that, you know, yeah. And
so that's the division is the 10 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. So how are you guys calculating the 25% for your weight rooms?
Phillip,
they're allowing districts to do that on their own.
Well, hey, Phillip, why don't you just share that formula that we had?
Okay.
Just have them.
I'll shoot that out as a part of the email.
Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to get on here and try to explain that thing verbally. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. Is anybody varying from that formula? Because I'm varying from that formula a little bit. Is everybody using that square footage as their formula? Everybody is? Okay.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anybody doing anything different? Anybody varying from that at all? Leslie, are you varying from that at all? Are you using that formula?
No, we're going to use the formula, but we are, and I'll let Kevin jump in if he has more information, but we are reaching out to some architects because we just had the new indoors built. And so we're trying to compare the formula with what our architects say, but what we're learning is if you're trying to get a capacity for a gym, they take in consideration ceiling height. So all of a sudden your number is really big, which is not the purpose of the capacity number. So I'll let Kevin kind of share what he's found out as well.
Yeah, it's the same, that you've got to deal with a little bit of the flooring of what your square footage is, not necessarily the square footage of the whole gym, because one of our gyms, we have permanent bleachers. Well, that's a part of the square footage, but obviously the floor where you would put the athletes, you can't, at a basketball or volleyball, it's going to be smaller numbers. We're using that. We would not go over that number, but we have talked internally about lowering that number if we don't feel comfortable with putting 50 kids in only on a basketball court, because you can't separate those by 10 foot properly and have that there. But we're using the formula. We won't go over the formula. We'll probably actually go lower than the formula allows.
Okay.
And one thing I did want to say while I was talking, one of the things that we are real strict on in our ISD is about if a kid that does not come to summer strength and conditioning and only comes to skills, we like them to come to summer strength and conditioning, but we know we can't make them. But they show up to skills, they still have to be screened by somebody, a coach. Their temperature still needs to be taken. So if somebody new shows up, they need to do the daily screening on our Google form and have their temperature taken.
Perfect. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? I think that we've kind of covered quite a bit of ground. We've hit the legal component. We've hit the athletic trainer lens. We've hit the multi-high school, the single high school. We've hit the significance of communicating with your administration. You know, the last thing I'd like to reiterate, and there may be some other people that want to jump in, and it's been said already, and so I'm being a little bit redundant, but again, you know, it's critical that everyone follow these guidelines to a T. There's going to be, you know, I've mentioned this to my coordinators, we're going to have coaches that are going to be, you know, extreme, that, you know, that are worried about coming up and exposing themselves. And we're going to have other coaches that are going to be on the other end that still thinks that this is a hoax and that this is silly. And so it doesn't matter where you land on that spectrum, whether you think it's a hoax or whether you're a little bit nervous about even being there. You know, you've got to follow the guidelines no matter what. Wherever you land on that spectrum, it's critical that you follow these guidelines. And again, it's been mentioned multiple times, but this is a precursor to the fall. You know, this is, you know, if we can get this right and if this goes well, it may open up some more things that allow our athletes the opportunity to get the things that they get from participating in athletics. It allows us the opportunity to be able to share those character values that are learned as being a part of this. And so that's the important part. You know, I've shared this poem with my staff before, but there's a poem called The Bridge Builder, and essentially what the bridge builders, I heard Darrell Royal say at one time, and it's really a good poem, but essentially the bridge builder is we have to maintain the bridge so that the people coming behind us have the opportunity to be able to continue to have the influence on people's lives that we've had the opportunity as coaches in the past to have, and that we've had the opportunity to have with coaches ourselves. And so we've got to maintain this. We've got to do our very best to be bridge builders to maintain what we have so that we can continue to you know, have the influence that coaches have with kids. It's critical that we do that. So if you're one of those guys out there that thinks that this is, you know, kind of silly and we're doing too much, you know, change your framework, you know, change your lens to the lens of it's critical that we follow this, and it's critical to the success, and it's critical to us being a bridge builder moving forward for athletics in the state of Texas. You know, we are viewed upon throughout the rest of the country as leaders in this area, and we need to maintain that status. It's critical that we maintain that status, and these guidelines that we've been given by the UIL, you know, are what allow us to be able to maintain that status. So again, you know, focus in on, you know, making sure that we get this right, and there's no cookie cutter way to do it. Everybody has their own nuances, but there's still that framework and those guidelines that we have to follow, that we have to apply to our particular situation. So anybody else want to chime in? Anybody else want to comment? Anybody want to add anything else?
Philip, I just appreciate what you're saying. One thing I've told our coaches, and will continue to repeat this week when I meet with them, is they got to know that all eyes are upon them right now. And everybody is a reporter now with a camera phone, and if they mess this up for whatever reason, either intentionally or unintentionally, it's going to be on social media before they even get off the field. That's how important this summer is, because people are looking for us. Unfortunately, they're looking for us to screw up and want to make a big deal about it.
Very true.
Yeah, and Philip, I'd love to add on that too. Kevin, I think that's a great point. And I'm going to be honest, guys, what I'm worried about is so many of our kids have not seen each other and they haven't seen their coaches. I'm worried about as soon as they see each other, they're going to want to hug. We've got a picture snapped, and now it's all of a sudden it's all over Twitter of RISD athletes or Mansfield or Azle athletes or whoever it is. It's going to be, we're just under the microscope. So I can't even imagine what's going to be all over Twitter the week of June 8th. I mean, I'm nervous about it, and I think we need to tell our coaches, realize people are going to be, parents are going to be taking, we've already had parents driving around some of our parks and fields taking pictures, trying to report, and it's not even our groups and organized groups, but they're emailing us, wanting us to go take care of these random groups that are working out together, but it's not organized and it's not sanctioned by RISD. So it's going to be really hard, and I think we need to just own the fact that this is not easy. It's going to be hard, but we have to do the hard work. That's what leaders do. That's what head coaches do. That's what we expect all coaches to do. And so I'm anxious to see how the first week goes, and I know we're all in this together, and I want it to go smooth for everyone. But I think we cannot stress enough the importance of doing everything right and the fact that we're under the microscope.
So I have a couple of comments and then one more question. This has been an incredibly valuable meeting for our 250 attendees today, and the willingness of our panelists to share what they're doing is very valuable to people across the state. I think you all make some really good points about we have to do this right and do it safely. The last question that popped up today is a really valid question. Is, say you've determined the number of athletes that you can serve, at least initially, is less than what might potentially show up. How are you regulating who can, who can't, or what numbers you're communicating to that can actually attend your strength conditioning, or is that a worry?
Well, I think if you throw the outside piece in, it's just organization and spending time of being efficient and having your groups in different places. If you're trying to do it totally indoor, then yeah, you're limited to 25%. But we couldn't do it if we did all indoor. So we'll have groups outside and inside and everywhere else. Spend a lot of time just being smart on organization for efficiency and where they are and when they're there, and then how we transition.
Good. Anybody else on that one? Okay, last thing.
We're basing it on the number of, we're basing it on sessions. So if we have enough kids to fill up one session, then we'll have a second session and we'll have, kids. So, I mean, the enrollment determines the number of sessions that we have.
Okay, very good. If possible, when Philip, when you close the meeting, I'd like for you and Shawn and Leslie to stay on for a couple of minutes to debrief, but I'll let you go ahead and close out whenever you're comfortable.
Hey, in closing, I just want to say this, don't be afraid to reach out to anyone on this panel or any of your colleagues anywhere for assistance with this. Don't be afraid to make a phone call or to send a text to anybody. I know that everybody on the panel would love to help each other out. Shawn mentioned it earlier. I mean, there's several of us on here that have worked through this together and shared ideas. And David Kirkendall couldn't be with us today. He's going to be our president this next year. But I know David has been involved in a lot of the discussions as well. So don't hesitate. If David's somebody that you're connected with or comfortable with, don't hesitate to reach out to David as well. But again, I see Kevin's listed his cell number and his email address on the Q&A or on the chat. So again, reach out, use each other, lean on each other, and best of luck to everybody as you implement. It might be a good idea for us to do this again next week. Later in the week to see how it's going with people and to see if anybody has learned anything as they've gone through the process that might be able to help somebody else. I don't know. We'll think that through. But again, best of luck to everybody. Lean on each other and allow us to help you if we can help you. And thanks for joining us today. Appreciate everybody on the panel sharing what they're doing.